cheapesttshirts.ca. Huge selection for men, women, and kids. Tees, hoodies, headwear, bags, and more. Proud Montreal business. Order today, ship today, delivery tomorrow. That's cheapesttshirts.ca. Local, fast, and affordable. Brought to you by instacustoms.com. Do you need custom gear from a local Montreal business? instacustoms.com has you covered. Custom shirts, hoodies, hats, and more made your way. Fast turnaround, great quality, and proudly Montreal-based. Check out instacustoms.com. Brought to you by Cabletel. For trusted alarm systems in Quebec and Eastern Ontario, choose Cabletel. Over 20 years of expert installation and top-tier protection for homes and businesses. Check out Cabletel.com. Email them info@Cabletel.com. It's Cabletel. Peace of mind you can count on. Brought to you by Morella's Steakhouse. Looking for an unforgettable night out? Morella's Steakhouse on Highway 132. It's just 15 minutes from Montreal, serving up premium cuts and bold flavors, and no tax on your bill. Book your table tonight at morellassteakhouse.ca. Taste excellence tonight. Brought to you by Little Bear. Give your pet the best with Little Bear Pet Supply. It's a proudly family-owned business here in Montreal for over 30 years. Chuck, Evie, and their all-star staff have you taken care of with all the top brands at the best prices, and they really care for your pets. Shop online at littlebearonline.com or visit them on St. Catherine across from Westmount Square. It's Little Bear Pet Supply. Brought to you by McLean's Pub. Head over to McLean's Pub, 1210 Peel Street in the heart of downtown Montreal. Great food, cold drinks, and big games on all the screens. McLean's Pub, good times and great company.
Well, hello friends, and welcome to the live presentation of the Starr and Demidov Show. We are here broadcasting live at the beautiful Morella's Steakhouse, proud sponsor of the Starr and Demidov Show. My partner in crime is here. We have made it safely and securely. And what an extravaganza of a show we have for you coming up over the next 60 minutes or so. But Marco, where do we begin? The establishment, what we just ate for dinner. Marco's sipping on some, can we say it? Yeah, of course. He's sipping on some delicious Scotch. Why not? It's Mail It In Thursday, Friday Junior. It's a Montreal weekend. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really exciting time for Canadiens fans. Trade deadline is over. Focus on the team. You know, you're looking at a 2 wins against divisional rivals over this week. You know, I guess the Maple Leafs maybe are not as in it as the Senators was, but I feel like last night's game was a playoff preview for the Montreal Canadiens, and it's really good to see them kind of step up the way they did and play with the vigor that they did, especially young players like Ivan Demidov and Oliver Kapanen.
This is also the VIP, you know, for loyal viewers of the channel, Marco, we've been running the promotion thanks to our friends at Morella's Steakhouse. Hopefully you entered, and hopefully your name will be pulled. We are going to announce the VIP winner. What does the VIP package include? Well, first and foremost, $200 to spend at the beautiful Morella's Steakhouse. Luxury round-trip transportation to and from here to the Bell Center for next Tuesday's matchup against the Boston Bruins for you and a friend with great seats. Marco, we're going to do that draw. We're going to make people wait a little bit, right? We can make them wait, right?
Absolutely, we can make them wait. I still have to get as wasted as everybody thinks I'm going to get.
You guys got to come check this place out. Obviously, we were checking out the Montreal Canadiens game against the Ottawa Senators last night. Cheers, everybody. I'm playing it safe today. I'm not going to lie. I'm playing it safe today. Marco called me a fancy boy because I'm drinking San Pellegrino this evening. I know it's exciting, everybody. But listen, I was watching that game last night, man, looking at how the Montreal Canadiens and that result was playing out against Ottawa. And we'll get into the nuts and bolts of that. But you and I on our live stream coming up after Tuesday's game in the win over the Maple Leafs. And we talked about Jacob Fowler. We talked about the possibility of, and you were on it, as usual. You were on it. You had him starting. You had him starting the game. I tried my best to play devil's advocate, thinking for a second, I don't know. Maybe Doba should play again. But I mean, let's talk about the decision to call up Jacob Fowler, and let me put your brain to the test again. What do you think this means for Sam Montembeault now?
I said it. I even got quoted on this, Shaun. It was actually picked up by a couple of outlets, but I do think that the tandem moving forward is going to be Jacob Dobish and Jacob Fowler until otherwise, until something happens. And I think, one of the things that you need to also factor in when it comes to the Canadiens is like the Canadiens' young core have dragged this team to where they are. Dragged is a strong word. I apologize. But I would say that, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slafkovsky, Ivan Demidov, Oliver Kapanen at forward have really helped make this team a high-scoring team in the NHL. And then not to discount, obviously, the point-per-game defenseman that you have in Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson, who might end up being, the 6th player in the Montreal Canadiens organization to get 50 points this season. Shaun, what are you doing?
I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just chilling.
I can't concentrate. Put your leg down. Sorry, guys. I was not.
It's that easy to throw you off your game, Playboy.
Jesus. I think you owe it to those youngsters to bring in some consistent goaltending because I feel like, and I think we've all kind of pointed this out, the Montreal Canadiens would be the top team in the Atlantic Division right now and potentially a top 5 team, if not top 4 team in the NHL if they had consistent goaltending. So if you can get that for them down the stretch, which as we remember was a problem even last year after the Four Nations, they had to outscore their opponents then too. I feel like this is where you can really kind of get to a point where not only is this a legitimate playoff team, they have winning around potential. And, for all of, we've talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs for a while. That's a big deal, having win around potential.
It is. And listen, I mean, you and I lived through COVID like everybody else and saw the Montreal Canadiens in that all-Canadian division, get to the Stanley Cup final and have Nikita Kucherov laugh at the Montreal fan base. Long memories here. Love to see the Tampa Bay Lightning. As a matter of fact, be careful what you wish for, because there was part of me watching this game play out, especially in the second period, right, about how Ottawa decided to play that game. First of all, Travis Green annoyed the hell out of me. I would have given this guy a bench minor after Ottawa got penalized for running into Jacob Fowler right off the bat. Travis Green and the Senators annoy me greatly.
I was going to give you a bench minor for that pose.
Son of a, I was doing my lounge pose. But the way the game was unfolding, and Travis, we found out, I think just before the game, I think it was some reporting going on from Ottawa. I forget the name of the reporter, my bad. That talked about Travis Green's strategy going in. High intensity, bring the energy, bring the care level. And man, oh man, I mean, that had the early semblance, right, of a playoff game. And I don't want to be the negative guy, but for a second, I'm like, man, oh man, this is what the playoffs are going to look like. And the Canadiens held on, and they got a fortuitous bounce on Ivan Demidov doing what a big forward should do. That's follow the puck, follow the play to the front of the net. But walk me through what you thought about how that game was played and how that and how the Canadiens are going to be able to adjust in order to not get smoked in the playoffs, because now they're 92% likely to be playoff bound here.
Shaun, I'm sorry. All I keep seeing is people either wanting me on the floor or shirtless. So,
oh yes, give him a couple more scotches.
So everyone came here to listen to us talk about hockey.
Well, you're the one that brought that up. I wasn't aware. I'm watching the show in full screen. I'm leaving you with the controls and the comments today.
Shaun is in a glass case of emotion.
That's right.
So what we have right now, and I think this is really indicative. We talked to Ivan Demidov about this after Tuesday's game, where you really kind of started to feel him play off the checks and play a stronger game and not get so easily moved off the puck or boxed out. He is making it impossible to cover him. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has changed for him, is that transition to North American ice, or at least hockey, because he did play on North American ice in Russia. But the way that he is playing now, he is chippy. He is, he's going. He is one of the players that is going to initiate contact, to make space, gain the puck, and make a play. And I think one of the things he shied away from earlier in the season is he wouldn't be the first man driving to the net. Usually, especially on their line, the center would do that. And what we're seeing now is a diversification of the way that they go about their zone entries in the offensive zone. And you see him with a little bit more aggression, kind of attack that open ice and go to the net. And when you go to the net, as cliche as this is going to sound, good things happen. So it's good habits to get into, because one of the biggest things that Martin St. Louis has been preaching about Ivan Demidov is he doesn't want to change him as a player. He wants to just teach him new habits so that he could add to what is already a ridiculous skill set as is.
And now the Canadiens found a way to beat Ottawa. That was a massive, massive win for them. You know, with considering the texture of what the playoff in the Eastern Conference looks like, it's another massive night for the Canadiens in terms of scoreboard watching. But as we look at the Eastern Conference playoff pictures, I pointed out already, the Canadiens are like 92% to make the playoffs. They're with 82 points, tied with the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Detroit Red Wings and Boston Bruins, wild cards 1 and 2 respectively. And here come the Columbus Blue Jackets, just 2 points back. And now the importance of that one. What's so funny? The comments coming in. You see, I'm not looking at the comments today. Shaun Jerry.
I want to refund the $5 just because that was such a good comment.
And that was a good one. Do you want me to? I can reenact it if you want. I can. This is the casting couch. This is how Marco got the gig. This is how we went from to the Starr and D'Amico show. Just the best of times. This is what happens. We leave our houses, we get together, and things go absolutely haywire. What can you say when you're at a fine establishment like we are? People are asking, where are we? We're at Morella Steakhouse, Highway 132, 15 minutes from Montreal. No tax on your bill. Marco and I devoured a 16-ounce, and we shared it like partners do. We shared a ribeye before showtime today. But as we walk through the playoff landscape in the Eastern Conference, and just how Montreal played, I mean, how difficult are the decisions on deck for Martin St. Louis? Alex Texier was back in the lineup on Wednesday night in Ottawa because Cole Caulfield had flu-like symptoms and can't play, right? The Canadian, and of course he scores. Of course he scores. Why wouldn't he, right? But the question is now, like, now what? Now what for Martin St. Louis? This is a difficult one.
I think it's a good problem to have. You know, I think between the two of us, Martin St. Louis and I think I'm the one with the problem right now, because the casting couch Ron Jeremy pose is what's taken over the stream.
Every now and again, I say something or I do something, and people just hang on. My cuckoo bananas line. People are still living off that for like 2 weeks. Now I got that Ron Jeremy pose on the Starr and D'Amico casting couch. Good thing there's only 2 of us here. Good thing only 2 dudes. Otherwise, we'd be in real big trouble, probably.
I think when it comes to the roster situation, it really is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about Michael Hage also potentially joining this team later on. We're going to have more on Michael Hage and David Reinbacher tomorrow as we explain how the Canadiens are going to be able to fit them in. We did the math for you. There's a surprise for you in that video. I apologize in advance.
Oh, get ready for the outfit change. This is a world-class power move by my partner over here. You gotta watch tomorrow's video. Members have probably already watched it because it's up now for members of the channel. So if you're not a member, maybe consider, because you get an early glimpse of what we do. But the chef's kiss for Marco's attire is worth the price of admission.
Isn't it free?
Well, for members, it's like $2, I think, a month to be a member of the show. So
yeah, exactly. $2.99.
Yeah, we're cheap, Marco. It's been established in the chat. We're cheap.
My wife is going to have such trouble watching this. You know, my mother watches this, Shaun. We're in so much trouble.
Well, that's great. We love all people. Everybody's welcome on the Starr and D'Amico show. We don't alienate the audience here. Everybody's welcome, especially family. Family first, right?
So, just getting back to the roster situation, especially when it comes to, you know, we're going to have this conversation. The way that Alex Texier missed 4 games, jumped right into the lineup.
Yeah.
And was able to play the way that he did. I thought that was impressive. You know, he didn't miss a beat on that first line. I think that given the way that the Ottawa Senators, like, give him credit, the Ottawa Senators top 9 doesn't not necessarily the craziest top 9 in the NHL, but there's really good depth. And so the Canadiens really needed to follow that depth up by playing a stronger top 9, which I felt they did. I really like, of late, the Jake Evans, Kirby Dach, and Zach Bolduc line.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, the next time Zachary Bolduc scores, I think we're gonna have a parade. But when it comes to the top line, I really enjoyed the way that Alex Texier was able to jump into the lineup and have an immediate impact like that. When you are at this stage in your rebuild and at this stage in the season, it's the quality depth that puts you over the top. And the Canadiens were having a tough go at that game in the second period prior to that goal. Juraj Slafkovsky, theoretically scored right before the Alex Texier goal, but they didn't see that. And Alex Texier made sure to score on that goal. But I believe that he plays with the necessary wherewithal on the ice, where that he could be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, though he is French. And he's able to play with physicality. Don't you dare! But he's able to play with physicality.
Yeah.
He's able to see the ice well. The ideas that he has in terms of zone entry and offense creation is there. The decisions aren't bad. He rarely puts you in trouble. And I feel like if you're a player that wants to earn a spot coming out of the lineup, coming into the lineup, I watch a player like him play, and you got to think to yourself, like, I like what I see. And if you had to put the best 12 forwards on the ice, he would be one of them in my books.
Can we talk about the challenge that is Brendan Gallagher for a second? Because there are other challenges afoot. And, Marco teased it earlier, right, about the video that we have out now for members and what's coming out mainstream at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. The cap crunch, right? The Canadian salary cap strategy revealed as Marco walks us through it as it relates to, obviously, Jacob Fowler here. We'll touch on Reinbacher. We'll touch on Michael Hage and the timeline for his hopeful arrival to the Montreal Canadiens market. And I want to tie Alex Carrier, Marco, into all of that. We've been saying before, I'm fond of using the expression on the struggle bus. Alex Carrier is on the struggle bus. But when we go back to Alex Texier, who got signed to the extension, it is what it is. There's no point in hashing that out. He got the extension. It's over. No takebacks in real life. Do you think MSL struggles with Brendan Gallagher's role, or do you think he's happy with the contributions and that it's the fan base or maybe a portion of the media that makes it a bigger deal?
I honestly thought you were about to backhand me, but that, I guess, is childhood trauma.
No, I'm a happy guy, brother.
This is the Italian upbringing.
Oh, no. Your mom's watching. She's like, what does that mean?
I grew up with my grandparents. Don't worry about it. All this, I 100% agree. I think it's kind of a conundrum. And I feel like Arpon Basu at The Athletic had a fantastic take on this today in his article. For those that have the membership, please go ahead and check that out. But for those that don't, just kind of summarizing it, it's going to be a difficult decision with Brendan Gallagher. I know that some people aren't very, how do I say, nice about it, or a little ruthless about it. And I 100% agree, and that's all good. And everybody has a right to their opinion. But in this sport, experience is the one thing you can't buy. And I get it. So when you look at him play, he's the engine that revs at like 4,000 RPMs to go 50 kilometers an hour.
Sure.
So I get that it's not ideal, but at the same time, nothing stops you, especially at this stage of the season, from doing a rotation. Like one of the things that I was talking about the other day is, I was asked, like, why is Arbor Jackeye out of this game for Jaden Struble?
Boy, oh boy, the Jackeye Glazers. No. Holy cow, Marco. How many tweets did I see on social media? The Canadiens can't win a game like that. They can't win a game because Arbor Jackeye's not playing against the Ottawa Senators. What's the final score? Who out-hit who in that hockey game on Wednesday night? It doesn't annoy you, honestly? I like Jackeye, but let's be honest. They're not benching Guy Lapointe here. They're not benching Larry Robinson.
Jesus. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Nobody's here.
I was talking to the waiters. Guys, I swear to God, like, I have had one Scotch.
I've had 0.
And Shaun has had, we've talked about this. Shaun has just had San Pellegrino.
That's it. I'm a fancy boy, Marco says.
Like, I literally have to drive to go and see my kid at the hospital right after this. I can't be hammered.
Marco, what do you say? I love this show today. I hope you guys are having fun. We're having a blast.
Guys, this is exactly a drama.
It's apple juice. Stop. It's apple juice.
Let's stop now.
Yeah.
But to get back to the Gallagher question, I feel like there is value in having him around, and having spoken to the youngsters, and obviously they would never say anything to the opposite of that, but I do feel like there is an element to the way that he goes about it
Right.
on a day-to-day basis, that does have an impact on the youngsters. And I know, Suzuki talked to me a lot about how Gallagher was really kind of the guy to hold him up and to when the C was put on Suzuki, to be like, yeah, no, but I got you. And, I understand that point, but also the organization is getting into a point where you absolutely need results. Like, there is no excuse to not making the playoffs. Now, do I think the forward that plays 12 to 13 minutes a game is the reason why they lose games? Absolutely not. But what I would venture to say, and I think with a little bit more assurance, is you have the luxury that a lot of teams don't have right now, where you have 14, and if they ever figure out what's going on Robuda Island with Patrick Laine, 15 forwards that you can insert into the lineup. You have 7 healthy defensemen and a David Reinbacher, and when he's healthy, an Engstrom. And you just called up Jacob Fowler to the NHL, and he wins you a game. So I feel like the Canadiens were, instead of looking at this from a negative standpoint, I think this is a huge organizational plus, that you have to be able, that you're able to make these kinds of tough calls. And that's going to be on MSL. That's why they pay him the big bucks, right? Like, if it were up to me, it would, I'd lose hair that I don't have thinking about who I would have to take out of this lineup. But when you think about why we're having this conversation, it's because the Canadiens finally have 12, 13 at least NHL forwards that I feel can make a difference in any game at any point. And I think that, compared to last year or the years prior, is a bigger deal, and it'll continue to get the bar will continue to increase as they start funneling in some of these younger guys.
Let me ask you this, with the trade deadline now, like, obviously well in our rearview mirror, right? I asked Darren Dreger about this on TSN 690, about Arbor Jackeye. Was there anything that you had heard? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm kind of doing it anyway. About, were the Canadiens were they looking at anyone on their roster, their current roster, or anything that you had heard? And we don't need names unless you're comfortable, obviously, but was it more about picks or prospects, or did you hear anything about players on the actual NHL roster in the hours leading up to Friday's 3 p.m. deadline?
Liberty to say. I can't report, so there's some things that you can't report because it will put you,
even if it isn't names.
Well, I mean, you asked me for a name.
No, I said if you're comfortable. I don't need names, because I understand, your job, on the day-to-day. I get that part, but all I'm wondering about is whether were they inclined at looking at players on their roster outside of Patrick Laine, obviously, who they were trying to move. But a lot of the talk, Marco, certainly around whether it was Robert Thomas or anybody else, was like, okay, all these conversations begin with Michael Hage. So I'm just trying to get a little bit more clarity on, were they willing to look at roster players, or was it really picks, prospects, and guys we haven't seen, with the Canadiens?
So as it pertains,
Yes.
Sorry, I just saw the comment. As it pertains to Michael Hage, he was never on the table. Never.
Yeah.
Ever, 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 ever. But you're gonna need who?
Yeah, we're gonna need the whole cabinet in the lounge here, brother. We're gonna need the whole cabinet.
Maybe another day.
Maybe another day. Like Ken Hughes. Maybe in 10 years over a Scotch, we'll let you know.
Bet.
Yeah.
But I will say that the Canadiens tried their best to not remove anybody from the roster in order to make a deal. Patrick Laine came very close to a trade. I could tell you that right now. But what I could tell you is, if push came to shove, there was at least one roster player I think that they were willing to part with, that fans would have had a mild reaction to. Okay. And I can't name names.
That's fair.
I won't go that far into who, and we'll get into that perhaps later, in the spring or summer. But what I would say here, and I think this is key, the Canadiens did not underscore, leading up to the deadline, making a splash that would reinforce the specialness of the trade deadline
Mhm.
across the NHL. Like, Canadiens fans are so scarred by the Andreas Martinsons and the Dwight Kings and the Steve Ott trades of the
Oh.
Marc Bergevin era.
Oh my.
Yes, indeed. I
Mhm.
feel like when it comes time to when the Canadiens are going to have to make those kinds of moves, he's actually got the Louisville Slugger, and he's going to try for the homers.
Speaking of MSL, I wonder when, now that Gordon, Jeff Gordon gets promoted, Ken Hughes, gets extensions, gets contract security, all good stuff. No one's disputing that, but I would imagine Martin St. Louis is probably not going to be that far behind. But that's a topic we'll tackle for another day. But you brought up his name, it got the hamster in my brain kind of turning for a second. Can we get back to the game on Wednesday night in Ottawa? Another home game. Brady Tkachuk getting booed. The captain of the Senators getting booed in his home rink. Way to go, Habs Nation. You guys are the best fan base in this country, in the NHL, and it's not even that close, if I'm being totally honest. I love seeing that, total homer Habs take. I get it. Guilty as charged. But going back to the physical element of that game and how Ottawa tried to impose themselves, Alex Carrier, who got trucked in the series against Washington in the first round last spring, gets key-racked again. And I wonder about, his level of play. Are we watching a guy that's fallen off a little bit, and is that a concern?
There's a lot of things that concern me. The pose you do on the couch.
Yes.
The hands behind my head.
The Scotch glass is getting empty. That's a concern.
The fact that everyone thinks I'm hammered when I just have new dad bags under my eyes. But I you look back at a game like yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily worried about the team because, first of all, the Ottawa Senators have been on a run. So the fact that the Canadiens were able to fight fire with fire, it was good. And kudos to Montreal Canadiens fans that, they were able to show up in droves, because getting to the Canadian Tire Center is not that easy.
No.
Not that easy.
Leaving there is probably harder.
And getting there in an ice storm is even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them. You guys are, as I consistently say, the absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that really kind of stood out to me, again, is the lack of efficacy of the Canadiens' third pair. And as much as I appreciate talking to this gentleman in the room, he is a 5-star human being.
Yeah.
Last night continued to put doubt in my mind as to the long-term efficacy of Alex Carrier as a third pair right shot defenseman for the Canadiens if they are ever to compete as a Stanley Cup contender, because he is asked to take the defensive matchups, but doesn't have the physical attributes required of him to be able to do so against all types of opponents. And I think that royally limits him. He's a warrior. He puts himself out there. He makes great plays on a consistent basis, but I just feel like covering of posts on a penalty kill, decision making under pressure, not clearing up against the boards when there's 5 guys against said boards. Like, it's just, and so this is why you have a lot of Canadiens fans clamoring for David Reinbacher when 6 months ago they weren't even sure if David Reinbacher would ever play an NHL game. So it goes to show you how this has evolved. And I think, when you really kind of dive into it, there is a structural, or at least a causal issue when it comes to the way that the Canadiens have built out the bottom pair, that not only did they try to fix, I can confirm to you they tried to fix, but now that they haven't, how do you move forward with it without hurting Laval, because they're supposed to go on a nice long playoff run as well, and B, without casting aside some of these other defensemen and just abjectly removing their trade value for the summer?
I like this comment. I want to put this up on the board here for a second, as it relates to Jacob Fowler. And he said, Marco, I don't want to pick on you, but do you feel that maybe it's not in the best interest to go into the playoffs with 2 rookie goaltenders, obviously, referencing Jacob Fowler's recall and his outstanding performance in Ottawa, Jakob Dobeš. In my mind, Jacob Dobish is still the number one goaltender. I saw Craig Button on TSN suggest that Jacob Fowler is the number one goaltender, and if in a world where the playoffs start on Saturday night, Jacob Fowler would be the starting goaltender. I gently, mildly disagree. But you want to answer this guy's question about, is it in the best interest to go into this playoff series coming up, whoever they play, with two rookies in net? Whoever starts whatever game. Yeah. A game 7. You did say game 7. Yes, I remember that. But who's starting the series? Like, all I'm asking is, if you're going to say Fowler's going to get game 7, what's happened in the first 6 games? Are they going back and forth? Is Jacob Jobish, to quote my old colleague Marinero, letting in bananas? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what happened in the first 6 games that Jacob Fowler is playing game 7. Is he playing the entire series?
No. You can hear me now. This is what happens when you have a trigger finger.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he would start.
Okay.
And only one human on this planet can call me Unk.
Oh, me.
Well, definitely not you. You are Unk.
Yeah.
But,
thank you.
But I will say, when it pertains to, my mic is still not working.
No, it's people. The stream is lagging. We're in real time.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
people join us. You know, there was a comment that put your leg down. I mean, that was 25 minutes ago.
Or was it? You know, I think when you look at the way that Fowler plays, it just brings about so much confidence in the way that the team responds in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
When you have 3 to 4 successive grade A saves, the way that Jacob Fowler played, like, guys, you have to understand this. Okay, Jacob Fowler played on Wednesday, and he and I were at a conference together on Sunday, and I was talking to him exactly about what this scenario would look like. And Jake was really good. He was quite generous with his time. And he said, when have I had any form of normalcy in my career? And if you go back and check it out, he's not wrong. I mean, for those that don't know, when it comes back to Jacob Fowler, like, Jacob Fowler wasn't drafted in the USHL draft. He wasn't picked to be the goalie for the U.S. National Development Team. Trey Augustine was. He was drafted in the 3rd round. I think he was the 4th or 5th goalie drafted in the 2023 draft. When he was signed to the Canadiens, he was just supposed to be like the silent backup. Sorry, to the Laval Rocket. He was supposed to be the silent backup. And then, I'll answer this later.
Mm-hmm.
And then stop laugh.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we saw Montemo get injured. I was going to say Olivier Primo. Good Lord. Caden Primo gets called up. And then you have Jacob Fowler as the number 1 in Laval to start the playoffs last year. And he was dynamite, even getting a shutout in, I believe, his 3rd game against the Cleveland Monsters, and has never really looked back since then. He said to me, he's like, I'm used to the frying pan. Just give me the heat. And that was pretty wild from a, what is he now, 21-year-old, to just say that with full confidence, and then proceeds to get called up 48 hours later. And it was a great conversation with him, but the confidence that he has and the fact that he is so grounded and well surrounded, got extended family in Montreal as well, or the province of Quebec in general. I think this is a completely different situation from Carey Price. And I think this management team is also better prepared to surround him and make sure that none of these distractions come into play and he stays focused. You have the ingredients for a franchise goalie.
I mean, didn't you see that? I mean, lots of people commenting. I mean, watching this game last night from Ottawa, and the flurry of activity with Ottawa buzzing, and, you know, kind of, you know, not doing the full Carey Price kind of parallel, but there are parallels, are there not? From, you know, the Carey Price this fan base thoroughly enjoyed throughout his NHL playing career, and watching Jacob Fowler kind of put an exclamation point on his win with that team in front of him, in how calm, how good his rebound control was. I mean, was that Was that reminiscent? Was that Carey Price-esque with the flurry of activities in the final 2 minutes?
Can I get a
hell yeah?
Okay, I'm glad we got that over with.
Let's go. But is it Carey Price-esque? You know, watching that attitude. But no, I'm not talking the whole way. I'm not talking Carey Price, you know, right now. In what we saw in what people believe they're going to see about Jacob Fowler. He put that on display. That was an intense kind of a playoff type of game. That game was very meaningful for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, I think
9:44. Incredible.
Well, I mean, we first of all, I just need to address this because the question keeps coming up. But we could. You want to take this one?
Where's Hank? We're at Morella Steakhouse. Hank is maxing at home, wishing he was eating rib steaks like Marco and I were today. Everything great. Thank you. The wonderful staff at Morella Steakhouse on Highway 132. This is truly, I mean, Marco, Hank's not here. Hank's at home. He'll be on the live stream on the weekend. But, I mean, Marco, this is such a first-class place, man. I love this spot.
I mean, you love that couch.
Hey, now.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Like walking into Morella's is a thing, and
yeah,
obviously that's pretty cool too.
Dude, they got the dry aged beef as soon as you walk through, so like right away, like you know exactly, you know, this is where expert steaks are made.
You had me at food.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess one of the things with Jake, and it's. You know when you could read a person and that person just that aura is confidence?
Mm-hmm.
That is Jake. And I just feel like I remember younger Carey and maybe especially with the team at the time in 08, maybe not the same surroundings, not the same structure, not the same leadership group, although, you know, I'm never going to speak ill of the leadership of Saku Koivu, but just I don't feel like this is the same culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Jake fits into that culture. And whether it's this year, whether it's next year, whether it's the year after, he just has that ability and he won't get lost in it. And like, again, you have to factor in, this is a kid who grew up idolizing Tampa Bay Lightning, Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins, gets a shutout against the Pittsburgh Penguins, you know, and what was it, like his 5th game? Nuts. You can't explain, you can't write stuff like this. And he did such a good job because he's able to internalize, he's able to just keep things, you know, level. And I feel like when you have that ability, it's one of the reasons that I was told from folks that I know from from the Canadiens and the scouting staff that really sold them on Fowler is that he has the mind to play it into this market. And when you have the mind to play in this market, you can go places if you have the talent to back it up. And as we saw last night, he has the talent to back it up.
No kidding. I mean, just his composure, even in some of the interviews he does after a big game, like he's just so even keel. You know, that old sales tactic when you go into a pressure, look, no shaking here, right? I mean, anybody watching The Departed gets that reference, right? Steady as it comes. And that's the impression I'm left with consistently, right? And credit to the management staff, right? I mean, there's nothing about this management staff, in my opinion, that is panicky. Everything seems to be more or less well calculated, whether it's bringing a player up, leaving a player down. And Marco, I mean, without giving the plot away, we're going to talk about David Reinbacher. And again, the video is up for members of the channel now, but we're going to talk about David Reinbacher and whether or not he's going to get a look. And we'll go into detail on that tomorrow. Eh?
If you say so. I believe you.
I believe you. You should believe me. I have no reason to lie to you. So there's something to look forward to in the not too distant future. So
I feel like that episode is going to be turned into a meme. I fully expect.
I believe it. I don't doubt that. You have to see it. I mean, it's a wardrobe decision. Let's and it happens as the video is unfolding because of what I said to Marco, that something clicked in his brain when I said something, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I can go the whole way with this." And the man went the whole way with that. So stay tuned for the video drop at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's the California teams at the Bell Center Saturday and Sunday night, both 7 o'clock starts. I know we spoke about Sam Montembeault. But it's back to Jacob Fowler and Jacob Fowler playing both games again. I mean, that's just the reality of it. No hurt feelings. Everybody likes Sam Montembeault as the human being, but with now 18 games left to play in the season, and the Montreal Canadiens trying to hold on to a top 3 spot, that's where we're at now, right? I mean, there's no reason to think that it's not going to be a tandem of Dobeš and Fowler this weekend.
Do you think this place has a breathalyzer? Because I keep being told that I look drunk, but guys, this is what a new dad looks like.
Dude, he's guy's spending all of his hours when he's not talking nonsense with me. He's spending all his hours with his wife and his newborn son. So yeah, let's cut him a break. I mean, he's got dad jokes on Twitter and he's got dad bag eyes. Dealing with a newborn, anyone that has kids can understand what that life is like, especially at this point. I mean, how old's your boy now? Is it 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old?
3 weeks today.
Hey, is he watching? Is he watching with mom?
No, God, no, please no. Thank you guys for watching, but
that's right.
Hopefully my wife's not watching.
That's right. Yeah.
Look, I will say one thing when it comes to the Habs, especially when it comes to this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could go up against the way that San Jose is playing of late and the way that Anaheim is playing of late and be comfortable playing Samuel Montembeault. And given the way that MSL tried to protect his goalie in the press scrum in Ottawa after it was announced that Jake would be starting, that to me is a frustrated coach that wants to protect his player.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, Shaun, and I think this has to be said, they don't believe right now in this stretch that these high pressure games against opponents that are truly streaking up in the standings can afford any kind of lack of confidence. You have to put your best players forward. And I think at this point, we've found who the best 20, let's say 21 players are on this team, and they're going to go from there. It's a hit. There's no wrong answer here. You could play Fowler on Saturday and put him up against former teammate Will Smith, or you can play Fowler on Sunday and put him up against former teammate Cutter Gauthier. Pick your poison.
Right. And I know who I'm going with. That's the tandem. At this point of the season, I think that's well expressed, and with the marathon games coming up, and where they are in the standings. I mean, finishing third, Marco, would be just massive. I mean,
third.
I mean, tied in points with Tampa Bay. The Lightning still scare me, but anyways, yeah, moving up would be great. I'm still wondering about Buffalo. If they peak too early, are they they're ready? They're ready to take the next step. But if we just focus on the Canadiens, I mean, would you describe this as an overachieving season, or was this kind of this competitiveness? How this team has played, how many goals they've scored per game all season, great power play unit, great offensive team. Is this an overachieving season in your mind?
Sorry, that comment destroyed me.
I can't read it. I don't have my glasses.
Panathinaina says they wouldn't start Monty versus Disney on Ice.
Oh, roasted.
Dude, our steak wasn't even that cooked.
Oh, that's a great line. Sauvage, but nevertheless, I'm thoroughly entertained. Once again, proving we have got the best comment, the wittiest commenters on the YouTube space, bar none. Thank you.
Yeah, that was rough, guys. I don't know if I could I don't know if I can approve this message, but I definitely approve the creativity.
Yeah, no kidding. Well thought out. Yeah.
What I would say though, especially as it goes down the stretch, the Canadiens still have the most amount of back-to-back games between now and the end of the season, so that's going to be definitely something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say though, especially as it pertains to the way that the team is built, the play of Juraj Slafkovsky and Ivan Demidov, I feel, if you can continue to unlock those two, and they both hover between 65 and 70 points between the end of the season, it's not outlandish that this team not only finishes, in the top 3 of the Atlantic. There is a reality where this team could very well finish second in the Atlantic and gain home ice advantage against you know, you name it, of Tampa Bay, Detroit, or whomever that are able to get in there. I think that would do a lot of good for the Canadiens to have that kind of advantage. I feel like Washington last year fully utilized that advantage against the Canadiens. One thing that I'll add to that, though, with Laval being as strong as they are, I'm not expecting any form of taxi squad unless something happens in the playoffs. But the way they're going right now, they're going to get a first round bye. So the only thing I would say is, in the fact that you can't waive players to go down to Laval, this is what the Canadiens are working with the potential addition of Michael Hage. When you look at the way that they're built right now, if they play a strong, systematic game, there's maybe one team in the East that I'm not sure about, and that's Buffalo. Other than that, I'm pretty sure this core matches up against anybody else.
I like this question here. How important is it for the Canadiens to win a round this year? I guess riffing off the question I had asked about whether or not you believe this season has been an overachieving one, or did this go according to your plan? I think that's a good question to wonder about, you know, how this team plays, how they absorb physicality, the composure of their rookie goaltenders. And I guess the question is, how much do you believe the rate in which they score per game is transferable to the playoffs that would allow them to win a round?
One of the things, like, it's one thing to make the playoffs, and it's another thing to win a round.
Yeah.
You know, our neighbors to the 401 will tell you everything you need to know about that.
No kidding.
But I think what would make one ponder is, if the Canadiens are to win a round, to me, it's not the offense that worries me. Pardon me. And it's not the goalies that worry me. It's the defense. And I don't think, you know, for as many people that want to see David Reinbacher get called up, he probably will, but it'll more likely than not be a cup of coffee rather than like a full-time call-up, because they want to see where he's at so they can get enough information. We're going to talk about that so in depth tomorrow. Y'all are going to have headaches. But I think it's also a strategy issue. You cannot play man-to-man defense in the NHL playoffs. You can barely do so in the regular season. But in the NHL playoffs, with all the crossovers, with all the chaos in front of the net, playing the zone is what you're going to need to do. And I'm wondering if that will change, because for those that remember last year, the Canadiens started playing zone defense in the playoffs and then reverted back to man-to-man this season. I'm going to be interested to see if that tweaks, especially if they play a team like Tampa or Detroit that's all about just getting into the nitty-gritty and taking advantage of whatever space you give them.
Make sure you keep it locked to this channel. As always, we encourage you to like today's video to help spread the word and cast a brighter light on what we are doing with the daily Habs content with Starr and D'Amico. If you haven't subscribed, maybe consider a quick subscription. The march to 15,000 is getting closer every single day. And before we wrap up the show, we do have the winner's name on this pink piece of paper. We do have the winner's name. We will announce our VIP luxury contest we've been running all month, thanks to our amazing partner, Morella's Steakhouse, where Marco and I are broadcasting from live this evening. Highway 132, 15 minutes from downtown Montreal. How long did it take you to get here today from Marco's in the West Island? How long did it take you to get here today?
I got here way too early, Shaun.
I know. What, 20 minutes, 25 minutes? It's well worth the trip. There's no tax on your bill at this first-class organization in Morella's Steakhouse, and thank them for running this contest. I mean, this is truly VIP. 2 tickets in great seats for you and a friend to go see the Habs and Bruins next Tuesday. Luxury round-trip transportation to and from, and $200 to spend here at Morella's. And let me tell you, that dollar will go a long way, and your bellies are going to thank you for that. It's a great date night spot, too. Such a great vibe. And the winner is Marco. How did that happen? I wonder how that happened.
Wouldn't be the first time Italian corruption won through.
So I got the name here. We're going to announce it before we leave. Looking forward to the Canadiens games, obviously coming up this weekend as the marathon run continues. With Cole Caulfield not playing Wednesday, and we jump to the conclusion that maybe he's going to play Saturday. Other than Alex Texier, you good with how the line combinations? I know you spoke about Zach Bolduc earlier in the hour, but you like how things are cooking. Ivan Demidov scores the game-winning goal past Ullmark, and Ullmark getting roasted by Sens fans, not liking his style of play. Canadian fans are used to watching the fan base eviscerate goaltending. We've seen that all season. But in terms of Caulfield back, Texier would be the odd man out, and you good with the rest of how this forward combinations have been unfolding so far?
I mean, Caulfield should be back. I know a lot of people are worried. I think that what you need in this situation is a little bit of patience. Caulfield was sick in LA, flies back, plays a little sick, travels with the team, which means, he's not that far off. And the Canadiens, we talked about this, have the luxury of being able to plug in a guy that could just slot into a top 6 situation and not miss a beat in Alex Texier. So that's not something to worry about. He's probably going to be just fine. And I mean, listen, if there's one day that Cole Caulfield is going to wake up for, it's Saturday. So I don't think you necessarily need to worry about that. I like the fact that the Canadiens can play multiple duos, trios in a pinch, right? Like, I remember talking about in October how much I liked the Bolduc Kirby Dach combination when Kirby Dach was still playing at center. Together, even as wingers now, they've revitalized Jake Evans. Jake Evans has what, points in 6 straight now? Like, Jake Evans.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, he's playing with a lot more noticeable intensity, that's for sure. And it's translating to points. I just, what I like about it, points are points. And I know you've said this before about certain players, right, on the team, that it's not always about points. But for you and I, who have been somewhat critical of, the bottom 6, words like ruggedness, or they need more edge to them. To me, it's very important as we get now to within 20 games that these bottom 6 guys are bringing more jam to the work, to work pretty much every night. And I've noticed that in Jake Evans, and it's great that it translates to points, obviously.
Yeah, I'm more a peanut butter guy myself, but I 100% agree. Bringing jam to work is amazing. So one last thing I will say to keep an eye out on, Michael Hage's season. We're going to be talking about that in depth tomorrow.
Yeah.
Michael Hage had 4 assists yesterday in a playoff game for Michigan. And what they call the Big Ten playoffs. So it's the playoffs in the division itself, and then they'll start the NCAA like national championship. That will get started at the end of the month. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can see this and activate notifications. But we're going to talk to you tomorrow on how that fits into the Canadiens' overall cap situation, because there is going to be a little bit of, banking going on. John Sedgwick, Canadiens' assistant general manager, going to be put to work over the next month. And we'll explain to you exactly why that is and how it's going to happen at the NHL level for them to fit Michael Hage, David Reinbacher, and whoever else they want to call up.
This comment skewing more towards the problems, Marco, maybe a disagreement with, the concern around the Canadiens' defensive structure. In our comments estimation here, it's goaltending. The be-all and end-all of the Canadiens' problem is in goal.
I disagree, because if you need a goalie to stand on your head, your defense is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you went through that with no offense and Carey Price for 10 years. You know what the other side of that coin looks like.
Like an average goaltender in the NHL does not do what Jacob Fowler did. What Jacob Fowler did last night was steal the game for the Montreal Canadiens. You don't get steals on a regular basis. You can't expect that on a regular basis. So if the Canadiens on a regular basis play the way they did in front of Jacob Fowler, I love the kid. He's great. But they're going to let in more goals than not. And those games are going to get tied up more often than not. The Canadiens have a bad habit of collapsing onto the goalie. bad habit. Doesn't matter if you have prime Carey Price in that situation, you're going to have a problem. And you can't hope that your goalie is going to stand on his head just to win a game. You have to be able to play strong enough defensively that your goalie doesn't have to work that hard. And when he does, he can make the key saves in those moments. That is the difference between a playoff pretender and a Stanley Cup contender.
Hope is not a strategy. One of my favorite lines. Marco, how do you compare Trevor Zegras to Demidov? Is it possible that Zegras was the mystery player in the last-minute trade as we go back to one of the more captivating storylines we've seen around the Habs in a deadline in a long time? What about Trevor Zegras?
So, yeah, Trevor Zegras was the player that the Canadiens were actually looking at from Anaheim if Ivan Demidov didn't make it to 5th overall in the 2024 draft.
Ooh.
What do you mean, ooh? You knew this.
Are
you just doing sound effects?
No, I knew they were. I knew they were interested. I guess I just didn't retain. Sometimes I'm absent-minded. I guess I didn't retain that if they didn't get Demidov at 5, Zegras was there. I knew. I had a feeling, and we had heard that he was a target. I didn't know how specific the target was, I suppose.
Yeah, Logan Mailloux was involved, draft pick, and the target was Trevor Zegras because the Canadiens view Trevor Zegras as a winger, not a center. And even the center-deprived $5.1 million over 5 years for Christian Dvorak Philadelphia Flyers don't think that Trevor Zegras is a center. So, with that said, no, I don't think that Trevor Zegras was the mystery player. And if that were to happen, there would be chaos in the streets of Philadelphia, which, mind you, I don't necessarily mind. But I would definitely go to say that the Canadiens view Trevor Zegras as a competitive, skillsy top 6 winger with a left shot. But when you have Ivan Demidov, you have the better version of that as is. And I don't think you need a Trevor Zegras. I had someone today tell me, for example, that the Canadiens did need a player like Matthew Nyes because they already had Alex Newhook in the lineup.
What?
When I picked myself off the floor from that comment.
What?
When I picked myself off the floor from that comment, I realized, think about it from a logistical standpoint. What are the Canadiens missing? They're missing the crash and banger. They're missing the other physical presence in the top 6 to go with, the obvious power forward that is Juraj Slafkovsky. So I think that the Canadiens have their high skill forwards right now. What they need is the unicorn sandpaper with skill, and they're going to get there. I'm not worried one bit, but the only thing I would say, especially when it comes to, Trevor Zegras, that door is so fundamentally closed because Ivan Demidov has arrived.
I love you, San Pellegrino. Here's another question. What's the problem?
I apologize. I superseded the question.
If Reinbacher isn't available and 45 gets hurt. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Crazy question. Did I put it up? Yeah, I put it up. Who said the Scotch? Me or Marco? If Rhino isn't available and 45 get hurt, 72 and 47, is that the combination? Crazy question from Matt. What's up, Matt?
I love that kind of chaos.
That is chaos. That is chaotic.
Dude, that's so chaotic. It's basically Sonic Adventure 2 battle. That is crazy. I would not for a second try that pair. Not even for a second. I would rather go back to Hudson and Struble and then have Goalie Jack-Eye than have Struble and Jack-Eye on the same pair. Personally, analytically. I just wanted to make that clear. I do want to answer one.
Hold on, because because longtime member Salil, dude, I was laughing on my couch when Anderson took the penalty because I was thinking about this guy. All I kept thinking about was Josh Anderson, who, again, the veteran guy, the guy who's been around, taking these I'll be kind, emotional penalties, Marco. And the first guy I thought of, and I laughed out loud when he took that penalty, was my partner right here, D'Amico. And Salil brings up, he's got to stop. I mean, Marco's been preaching on this topic all season and even into last year even.
Someone's got to break open the wooden spoon on that, man.
Oh, no, another Italian mom reference here, I think.
But listen, you have to. Your veterans have to keep their stuff together. Like
Yes.
it's just inexcusable. You have to start, especially when you get into the playoffs. It's going to get even more emotional, and you absolutely need to get your stuff going. So to me, when it's going to be gut check time, and every power play against is going to be crucial, you can't be giving your opponents gimmies. And I found, though I did find the call soft. I was like, that seems like a regular check. You wouldn't get called for that in the playoffs. It's still always Josh Anderson. And so it is what it is. It is what it is. But this is why we drink.
Cheers, everybody. What about this one here? I mean, we're crossing the 60-minute barrier here. I guess, Marco, we have time for a few more questions, I guess, before we sign off and announce the winner.
Yeah, I also have to describe the Scotch that.
Yes, I'm going to get to that. This question from Mello: do you think the Canadiens would offer Zborowski and Engstrom that type of deal for Matthew Knies at the draft if that's who the player was, and Ken Hughes perhaps has an opportunity to circle back, as he mentioned, in the summer?
That and then some.
And then some. And you're talking a 23-year-old, 6'3" guy who's under contract. You know, I don't disagree with that. And then some. Yeah.
Him, Uri Slafkovsky, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew, obviously, playing that style, so rare. So rare. And you have no choice when a player like that comes available to at least put your best foot forward. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's as simple as that. All I would say when it comes to Matthew Knies, all I would say about Matthew Knies is those that wouldn't jump to get this guy on their team, understandably, given what you're watching right now, don't watch enough Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
Mm-hmm.
He's nuts.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. One more question. Everything okay? A raspy throat today, I think, eh?
Yeah, no, I get choked up when I talk to fans. I need water, and you
I have water here. Don't be shy.
Yeah, but you're hogging all the Pellegrino.
Well, it's over there. The bottle's it's a shared bottle. I haven't been drinking like a monster. I'm not a sauvage drinking out of the bottle with the backwash. I'm not the king of backwash here. Please quench your thirst. I don't want you to struggle. I want you to be comfortable. Ethan, your spot is always saved. A VIP member of the Starr and D'Amico show. This one from Mark. Mark, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you all for the super chats and the ongoing support. You know it goes to a good cause, especially now that Marco's a new dad.
Damn.
Huge whiskey fan, almost as much as the Habs. Do you like what? Islay Scotch, Marco?
Islay. And
I only know Macallan's Rare Cask. That's the finest Scotch I've ever had in my life. So I'm ignorant. I like it. I like Scotch very much, but not knowledgeable like Marco appears to be.
Yeah, I went to Islay 2 years ago, so I love drinking ashtrays, smoky Scotch, basically. So that was a Lagavulin 16 year, which is my favorite, and obviously what I always use to have in celebratory moments. So that was kind of my favorite. But yeah, I'm an Islay Scotch guy. I've done Islay time and time again in Scotland. Scotland is great. The only thing I absolutely just can't do is how cold it is in Scotland, even in August. I need to be by a beach and warm. And if it's 6 to 8 degrees and raining, my people weren't made for that kind of weather. But Scotch is there to warm you up.
Can you speak on the Scotch collection that you were able to browse here at Morella's Steakhouse?
Bro.
Don't tell the people, bro.
People don't need to see me cry on air.
Did it make you emotional? Some beautiful Scotch. So a high variety of world class and different ages too, right? This one from Felix. If Fowler is NHL bound, can we see a goaltender in the NCAA signing for the Rocket when their season ends?
It's a really good question. Alexis Cournoyer just won the Ken Dryden Award for the best goalie in the ECAC, which is basically like what would you call that? The Ivy League division in the NCAA. Kenton Miller is having a great season for Denver, and Emmett Croteau, they're looking to see what's up with him next. So yeah, I believe that one of them could sign, but it's all a question of timing. I just don't know. And I think the closest one to the pros in age is probably Croteau and then Miller. Miller's probably earned it more, but I think the one with the highest ceiling is probably Cournoyer because he has just taken off. There is obviously Evgeny Volokin that is playing in Russia, but he is signed there for an additional 2 years after this one. An additional 2 years period. So I believe it would be 2028 when he is available. So it's still very far off, but the Canadiens have done a really good job of just like basically staggering when they need to go and sign these guys. So not really something to worry about. And, keep an eye on it. The only thing I was told is that the one thing that Montreal is not seeking to do is have 2 rookie goaltenders in Laval moving forward ever at the same time.
I like this question here because that's what it's all about, right? Like, let's not mince words. That's what this is all about. What would it take for the Canadiens to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals? I mean, multiple pieces. I mean, if we're being right, you need your right winger. You need a 2C. You need David Reinbacher to level up in a big way, and Jacob Fowler's the foundation in goal. I mean, that's just off the top of my head here.
One thing I would say is they definitely need the bigger crease clearing mean defenseman to fill out the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
They're going to need an established number one. They're going to need to really kind of finish their top 6, whether it be with the inclusion of Michael Hage, whether it be via major trade this summer, as the Canadiens tried to do right up until the end, whether it be another Shaun Starr pose that's massively shared on social media to distract Canadiens opponents down the stretch.
Well, since you asked for one, oh yes. So hello, friends. Nice to be maxing and relaxing here at Morella's.
I need fans.
Do you like when I change the tone of my voice and I speak in a more seductive way, Marco?
It makes me not have to mute my mic so that they don't hear the echo. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Shaun Dobish.
Shaun Dobish.
The mattress post.
Yeah.
The mattress post.
Instead of a mattress, Shaun has a couch.
I love it. Okay, we're having lots of fun here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. It is not a casting couch. It is disturbing. I don't disagree. A lot of very sharp, astute, well-observed comments. Marco, I'll let you announce the name. I'll lay the groundwork again. A massive shout-out, obviously, for Morella's, one of our proud sponsors of the Starr and D'Amico show. All of our sponsors have been so loyal. Thanks for Morella's for running this contest. 2 tickets to see the Habs and Bruins at the Bell Center next Tuesday. For you and a friend with luxury transportation to and from the game and $200 to spend here at Morella's Steakhouse. An awesome night to come for a boys' night. You want to come in the lounge, sip on some delicious scotch, have a beautiful cigar with great TVs, flat screens, great place to watch the game, and obviously an exquisite dining room. So if it's not a boys' night, maybe it's a date night. You're not going to be disappointed. As clearly, we've been here, and we encourage you to come check it out when you have the time. But thanks to them for putting this together. Marco, let's announce our winner. And unfortunately, it was brought to my attention today that it was a pretty simple concept to enter. You went on Morella's Instagram, you liked, you shared it, and you just had to follow Starr and D'Amico on Instagram and Morella's Steakhouse. Unfortunately, there of close to 2,000, I think almost 3,000 entries. Some people didn't follow the rules, and so you had to filter that out. So this is a straight-up draw. And Marco, let's announce the winner of our VIP Morella's Steakhouse Habs Extravaganza giveaway. Take it away.
Damn. Shaun Starr announces a contest and goes, "Y'all didn't follow the rules. They take it away, Marco." That should
Well,
go
not
well.
everyone. I mean, this guy clearly did.
This guy didn't. So the winner of the contest that is going to be able to go and watch the Boston Bruins on March 17th, St. Patty's Day,
Yeah.
is Simon H. Diamond.
Let's go.
And I myself will also be at the game, but I'm kind of jelly that I won't get to eat here and then go to the game. So it'll be a good time. We thank you all so much for participating.
Yeah. And Simon Morel is going to get in touch with you. They're going to reach out and get in touch with you directly to get all the coordinates and organize this contest and how you can get your prize next Tuesday. So heads up in your DMs for that.
Yeah, and again, we'll be doing contests, giveaways as we continue throughout, the season and then into next year as well. So do not worry. There will be more in terms of giveaways, merch, tickets, this and that. Keep it locked. Continue to follow Starr and D'Amico. We have way more content to give you. Thank you so much for being so many with us on this stream tonight. It's been a blast here at Morelos, Shaun. I will probably have to drink 6 more scotches at home to forget that pose. But other than that, I think this was an absolute banger of an episode.
Like they sear a great steak here in Morelos. That pose is seared into your memory. May you pass it on to your children, Marco.
The only thing I'm going to pass on to my children is the trauma that you've imposed.
Oh, so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. On behalf of Marco D'Amico, I'm Shaun Starr. What a treat it was to spend the evening together, and we look forward to doing it again soon. Watch for our video tomorrow as we take you to Cap School. David Reinbacher, Jacob Fowler, Michael Hage, how do the Habs make it all fit? You're going to have to watch the video, and it's pretty easy to understand. Professor D'Amico lays the groundwork. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a great night.